Hey YouTube, Brent here with Cichlids. So I wanted to go around and give you guys a tour of all my tanks. Like I've mentioned in other videos, I do make my own filters, and I really enjoy doing that and thinking of creative ways and things I have just laying around and or cheap things that I can buy to make my filters. Uh, So, anyway, I want to just show you all my tanks and how I've made things, and maybe talk about improvements that I'd like to do to my current filtration. But we're going to start out with my 2.5 gallon Betta tank. So right now there's no Betta in there. Uh, Kind of an algae problem. I'm not really concerned about it since I don't have a Betta in there. But I had some bristlenose placofry because I have a breeding pair, and so I put one of those babies in here, and I'm hoping he'll take care of the situation. If he doesn't anytime soon, that's fine. My Betta is my what I call my work Betta, and so he comes and goes with me to work on the weekends. I've got a pothos plant in there. I'm hoping that once it gets a little bigger, it can kind of help combat the algae problem. But like I said, I'm not all that concerned. This is more of a home away from home for him. And so this is the filter that I have. Basically just a Tupperware container with some lava rock in it. I've got a small kind of fountain pump that I got from Harbor Freight for like $8, and I have a piece of PVC going down into the tank and kind of helping to aerate out things and filter the tank. And then I've got some ceramic decorations and some rock and stuff like that just to kind of decorate the tank. If I have it more in a community type area, I will kind of spruce it up, but for this, it's just kind of, you know, where my Betta can chill out when he's not at work with me. This is my 30-gallon. I have some air power driven filters in here. I've got some pot scrubbies and some peanut butter jars. Does the job. And I've also got like a 30-gallon hang on back. The only thing that's in here are my breeding pair of albino bristlenose placos. That looks like it's the male. I mean, his bristlenose, or his bristles, aren't the biggest. I've got a black one with some really nice bristles, but he's still a pretty decent looking guy. And the female's probably hiding in here somewhere. So yeah, that's that. So I'm going to come back to me so you guys can't see my mess. With my fish, I kind of focus more on the fish tanks than I do house cleaning. So here's the 100-gallon in my bedroom. So I just have some young fish in here. My green terror, some driftwood, and my convicts. This is brother and sister, and they've had a couple of sets of fry already, and I kind of want to separate them. I don't want to encourage that. You know, I want to have good, strong stock and stuff, and I just don't feel like I get that if that the brother and sister are going to get together and, have babies. But got some 6-inch PVC Y elbows in here, and I think it works out pretty decent. Here's my tower filter. I have a Sterilite storage drawer. I've got like a 600-some gallon pump in there, and so that basically rains down over pot scrubbies, and that's about it. And it's just in a storage tote. So my overflow, I bought this tank drilled, so I actually this is my only drilled tank, and so that's kind of a standard drilled overflow. And then there's my pump return. So nothing all too fancy right now. I've got I'm using this polycarbonate sheeting that I got from Menards. Pretty cheap option. It's easy to cut, and fluorescent lighting. So I'm gonna move on to one of my other tanks. So my next tank is in a spare room that we have. Also kind of like where I store most of my buckets and cleaning equipment and stuff that I have kind of laying around to fix up my tanks with. But so here is the 100-gallon African tank. I've got a wave maker right there, which looks like I need to turn it on. And I've got a under gravel filter connected to a power head. And then another Y elbow. And then I've got some, I don't know what these are, like concrete blocks or something I kind of made into a house. I'm looking to find a relatively inexpensive solution to rocks. I got these from a relative of my girlfriend, and I'm hoping to, go to like a landscaping place to save myself some money instead of, buying rocks from a pet store, because with all the tanks that I have, it would cost a ton of money for me to decorate my tanks how I want to and, make it look nice. I mean, there's definitely some improvements I want to make, but my fish, I really like my fish. I have yet to paint my background. I've since learned that it's better to paint your backgrounds dark, and so right now I have some bright backing, and it kind of detracts from how beautiful these fish really are. I've got a mixture of different types of cichlids in here, and they all get along pretty well. I had to separate a couple of them because they were getting picked on a lot, but other than that, they're doing well. Another Sterilite storage tote container tower, and then Sterilite bucket as a sump. So on top is a canopy that my brother and I made. Turned out really cool, I think. The only thing that's a little bit tedious is it's kind of big and kind of bulky to get off, and for me to do cleanings and stuff like that. And I got to figure out a way to keep the doors shut so they don't kind of flip open when I'm taking it off the tank. But other than that, overall it looks really nice. I like it. So yeah, we're gonna move on to another tank. So here right now, this one isn't too exciting, but I've got some convict fry in here, and I've got a couple of catfish, Raphael catfish. That's what I was trying to get to. And I don't really recommend the Raphael catfish. They're cool, but they're kind of boring because they hide all the time. They come out at night, and so I don't really get a lot of enjoyment out of them. But here is the tank. I've got like a coliseum in there, and then some, I'm really digging this sand. And the sand that I have is just pool filtration sand. Really easy to maintain. And then I made myself a sand filter. So basically it just kicks around the sand, and the stronger beneficial bacteria survives. I feel like it works really well. Nothing fancy, but it works. Just kind of demonstrating that, you can do anything you put your mind to. Just give you ideas. You can, kind of work upon my ideas, make it look better, and also be functional. And then I've also got a couple hang-on backs. So when these guys get bigger, there will be plenty of filtration. My 125, this is kind of my display tank. Not quite where I want it to be yet. I've got some more driftwood, and I might take out some of the pots and stuff, but I did a video on the actual filtration and the filter for this tank, so I'm not going to dwell on it too long, but I really dig my fish. I mean, I feed them shrimp and salmon from time to time because I want to keep their colors popping. I don't buy the most expensive food, however, I think I'm going to try to upgrade a little bit because I would like them to be nice and healthy and beautiful. So anyway, gonna move on to my 3 tanks in our dining room area. I know it's kind of weird to have tanks in the dining room area, but we don't really spend a lot of time in the dining room because we're just not ever around together, and one of us is working and or whatever. So I have like a stock tank type pond in here. I had tried putting like a swirl filter on it at one point in time. I don't know, it just didn't work out that well for now, so I'm just gonna leave it the way it is. I do have a video about the filter that I made for it. I used like a concrete tub, and then I put pot scrubbies and lava rock in here. I sort of upgraded a little bit. I put kind of like a 5-gallon swirl bucket on top, so it swirls on the inside, and kind of gets kind of the sediment and stuff on the bottom in there. So I just need to clean that out, when it gets kind of full. So that's kind of what that looks like. You can see that there's a moderate amount of muck on the bottom, so that it all doesn't go in my filter, and then it just kind of comes out the side. At some point I'm going to upgrade on this idea and make it work just a little bit better, but it's serving its purpose, and it cleans the water really well. That's all I'm really concerned about for now. So yeah, I like putting pothos plants and arrowhead plants and bamboo and stuff like that inside of my filters because I feel like that really helps. So yeah, here is the 55 I just did a video on. Nothing all too special, it's just a 55, but it's got my black piranha, so he's somebody that I'm pretty proud of, Lazarus. And then I have a couple of siphons connecting my 55 and my 30, kind of keeping these guys in a hospital tank because they were getting beat up in the African that I just showed. And under gravel filter, basic overflow, and then sump. I don't know. As you can see, I kind of just throw my nets in there sometimes. It's hidden away, so nobody really sees it. But yeah, that's that. I'm going to move on into what I call the mud room. I've got a few tanks in here. I've got a 75, I've got a 45-gallon bow front, and I've got a 60. There actually isn't all too many fish in these tanks, so maintenance on these is pretty easy. This is a rose queen cichlid. He, she, I'm not sure what the sex of it is. Quite picky.